So you guys know that I'm always willing to shout out the brother number 50.
What's his name?
Mookie! There you go. All right. I go here. Belong.
Now, what magazine is that?
Oh, let's go back to it. So this is the Los Angeles Daily News special commemorative edition.
I knew you would buy that thing.
And I didn't. It was given to me, actually.
I knew you would have it. I saw it when I was at 7-Eleven.
Well, shout out to Trey Hop because it came from him.
I know you
remember him giving it to me, and
that's a dope picture, man.
Yeah,
that's a dope.
Well, that's right when that's right when he rounded first base, and he was like,
"That was so dope, man." You gotta love Mookie Betts, man.
Gotta love Mookie Betts. Gotta love Mookie Betts. All right, so check it out.
This is about to be good because Kyle's got questions today.
Oh man,
you got questions?
Y'all gotta help me out so I can sleep at night.
Okay. Well, we'll get right into it. But in the meantime, and in between time, if you work your thing and I work mine, then I'll work mine. All right, it's episode 48 of the Collective Podcast. We are so close to that magical episode 52. Again, it's episode 48 of the Collective Podcast. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Listen, this week we have guest co-host Anthony Cobbs, AC Sports Live. And not to sell him short, but guess who we have next week? Rod, tell him who we have next week.
Mookie Betts?
The one and only Scoop Jackson.
We got Scoop Jackson next week. All right, cool. No, we don't have Mookie Betts yet. Mookie Betts yet. Working on it. Yeah, we got Scoop coming in next week. I'm sure Anthony will be on too. And who knows, maybe Jimmy Mack will find time to get on when we have somebody special like Scoop on. Who knows? What's up, Jay Moore? Go Bruins. Episode 48 of the Collective Podcast. I am from LA. He is Saucier Senior, and then that guy down there at the upside down triangle spot. That's Anthony Cobbs, AC Sports Live, our guest co-host. And it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a podcast to step to. Think of how many week shows you slept through. Time's up. I'm sorry I left you. Kept you. Why do I keep doing it? I'm sorry I kept you. Sorry I kept you. Anyway,
that's what you get for biting somebody else's rhymes.
Oh man, I'm just shouting out the seventh letter.
Tell him, Rod, you don't bite nobody's rhymes. Where we come from, that's bite.
It's a new era. It's a new era though. They don't biting is acceptable now.
Wait a minute.
Matter of fact, it's encouraged.
If you're not on.
Listen, man. That man said RA stands for raw. Switch it around. It still comes back R. That dude, rock him, phenomenal. The 13th letter. And I'm not fighting him. I'm shouting him out.
The 13th letter.
He was so ahead of his time.
It wasn't the 13th
letter.
Ahead
of his time.
It was the 13th letter, and it still is. It's not.
No.
Count it out. Go. Use your finger.
No, I can't do it.
You can't do it? All right. Shout out. Yeah, they call it paying homage. That, you know, Dietrich.
Paying homage?
Huh? Listen, right. I took a page out of my man AC's, I can't say that. My man Cobb's book, and I added a couple venues on here. So we got Periscope, we got Twitch.
Gotta do it, man. You gotta reach them. Reach the masses. It's free. It's for me.
We're rolling. So we live on Facebook. We live on LinkedIn. We're live on the Collective Podcast YouTube page. We're live on my YouTube page. We're live on Periscope, and we're live on Twitch. Shout out. What up? The Dub Sheep. Welcome, the Dub Sheep. The Dub Sheep is on Twitch, and this is our first time going live on Twitch. So shout out. Dietrich's here. TreVon is here. We got some other people here. Please tell us where you're checking in from. Also, wherever you're checking us out at, go ahead and give us a thumbs up or a like. Please hit subscribe or follow. let us know you appreciate us, but let us know where you're checking in from. Rod, where you checking in from today?
Long Beach, California.
Long Beach, California. Mr. Cobbs.
Yo, I'm in Santa Fe Springs via LBC.
He's in the SFS, the Santa Fe Springs. All right, so listen, we can get right into it. You've got plenty of questions, I hear. I've got some questions. Maybe Rodney has some answers. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't start off with the Super Bowl. So, gentlemen, the alleged Super Bowl happened. We could start off with the halftime show because there's a debate. You guys hated it. I enjoyed it. But let's not start with that. Let's start with the actual game. Was it a Super Bowl? And what do you think? Go ahead, react.
It was super. The Buccaneers played a super game. They played hard. They played better in the trenches. They had a better game plan. That offensive line move might have cost them. They didn't have any strengths on the offensive line. So once it was exposed as a weakness, I might have put my right tackle back at his natural position and my right guard back at his natural position, so they at least have a strength of running right. Them all being out of position against all pros type of defensive line players really made them look really pedestrian, man. So they didn't have a chance to get their plays off. And I thought it was really dumb and arrogant by Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy to continue to try to throw deep balls when you don't have pass protection. So it became a snoozer of a Super Bowl when you saw them continually trying to pass the ball versus two high safeties, man, underneath. That's right into the Buccaneers game plan. And then Tom Brady, all he had to do was manage the game, throw a couple of gimme touchdowns in the red zone and right off into the sunset. So you get the perfect narrative for any Tom Brady enthusiast. Those of us who don't like Tom Brady are like, okay, we've seen this before. And then we had a whack halftime show and we had mediocre commercials. So I think it was a letdown as hyped as I was. And I heard it was the least watched Super Bowl in a long time. Surprisingly, I thought everybody would be watching because nothing else to do. But I was kind of let down. And that's why I had a couple of questions for you guys who are professional refs, AC and Rod. Because some of those calls I thought, they could have just let go. But I know some calls you have to make. But I know that 95 yards in the first half was excessive, but that's why I'll wait till we get that part.
Oh, okay.
It went pretty much like I thought it would go, because you can't lose your starting tackles. I mean, like we saw what happened to the Eagles when they lost their starting tackles.
Yeah.
It never fails. You can't lose your starting tackles in the NFL. Happened to the Raiders, happened to the Niners, happened to the Seahawks at one time. You start seeing the team just spiral. You have to have a line in this day and age because the linebackers and the DNs are so quick and so fast that if you don't have someone that can actually protect, it's a wrap. Now, what I didn't understand is why Kansas City didn't try to run the ball more and keep Brady off the field. Edwards-Helaire, just watching him run in the next 4 years, he will be one of the top 3 backs in the NFL. The boy can go. They didn't have anything for him that could stop him. They just didn't use him enough. But every time he ran, it was 5 or 6 yards easily. And he was hyped. I mean, he was jumping up after some hard shots, talking trash, like bring it. They could have used him in the screen game. He has hands. He's a complete back. And I didn't understand why you don't utilize that. I mean, like, I'm big on in-game adjustments. If you listen to me talk and you watch a game with me, you know that being around me, I'll peep something out and I'm like, okay, that's a mismatch. Exploit that until they stop it. And if they don't stop it, just kill them. And that's why I get so frustrated watching basketball games, but I'm no different in football. Like if you see something that you can utilize to your advantage, why not do it? The object is to win the game. So you do it until you can. And then and then they adjust, and then you adjust again. That's why I've always respected Pete Carroll. I may not have always agreed with some of the things he's done with other situations, but in-game adjustments, I've always respected the way he has saw something and
What
said,
about
okay,
what about 4th and 1? What about 4th and 1 on the goal line in the Super Bowl?
I did not like that. And even the national championship against Texas, like you got arguably the best player in the country on your team, and he's not on the field on 4th and 1. Like even if you had him in the backfield and sprinted him out in motion to draw 2 or 3 guys looking at him, you know, they have to respect that. Hey, they may throw a slant to this dude, or, you know, depending on the matchup, or they may run some kind of screen to him. So we got to respect him. You got the whole team worried about him. So now you pound Lindale White. If you got Marshawn Lynch, you have to give Marshawn.
Hold on, Rod. I'm sorry. 18th letter, not 13th letter. I know I'm late, but sorry about that. 18th letter. I forgot about 5 on my finger.
I can't do 13, man.
Okay.
I'm a Rockham fan too. Just as long as you know.
My bad. All right, go ahead, Rod.
So you know, it went pretty much how I expected the game to go. You know, a lot of people fussed about the officiating and said the refs gave them the game, but I didn't necessarily see it that way. I can't, and we're going to get to that, so I'm not going to speak on that. But the game itself went pretty much. I didn't care for Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. They put me to sleep in the second quarter. I had to watch the game over again twice.
They were terrible.
Because AC actually called me about a play. He's like, "Hey, Rod, did you see that 3rd down?" And I'm like, "No, I missed it." And then I realized I dozed off. Like right before the play started, I dozed off. So I had to go back and look at the play he was talking about again, and then watch the play that I actually saw to understand what happened, because they were really putting me to sleep. AC and I disagreed on the halftime show. He liked it. I thought that man should have just went and sat in the stands with the cutouts, and no one would have missed him.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's you know, it could have been much better. It could have been much better.
What did you like?
I think everyone cut corners on this game so much that it decreased the value of the game. I mean, like bringing Tony Romo in and all of that. I think
why? Okay, so I hate when you do this to me, Ryan. All right, so let's go with that first, so that we can get off of the weekend. All right, what does that mean? He's half of the #1 CBS crew, and CBS paid for the Super Bowl. So what do you mean bringing Tony Romo in? I didn't enjoy him either, but you're being naive right now, and you're tricking the fans into thinking that you're naive. You're not. He's the #1. He's the highest paid and #1 commentator, and he happens to work for CBS, who bid the highest for the Super Bowl. So you knew they were going to put him there. So stop playing.
Highest paid doesn't mean you're the best. First of all,
he is the #1 rated color commentator on CBS football, and you know that. Whether you like him or not.
They didn't ask me, because if they asked me for my vote, he would not have been #1.
You're right.
He would have been #8.
You're right. They didn't ask you, but who else is on CBS? That's what I want to know. Who else is on CBS?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You should have looked into that by now. You throwing down Tony, and I didn't enjoy Tony Romo, but I generally don't. I generally don't enjoy Tony Romo.
Me either. That's all, and that's all I'm saying. I mean, if that's all they had, that's all they had. But
when I try to throw out who I do enjoy, you guys laugh me off the stage. When I say I enjoy Booger McFarland, you guys get mad at me.
Hey man, I'm putting a petition now for Aqib Talib to call the next Super Bowl. If y'all ain't heard Aqib Talib call a game, it's like Snoop Dogg calling the Tyson fight. Great comedy.
I would rather hear Marshawn Lynch than any of the ones.
Like, appreciate you, boss. You You want to go pro like Marshawn? Appreciate you, ball.
So from an NBC perspective, and this we're not talking about NBC, but I love the halftime guys. Like I love Rodney Harrison and Tony Dungy, but this wasn't an NBC Super Bowl. It was a CBS Super Bowl. I interestingly enough, I don't know who all is where, but Greg Gumbel is my guy. Hey, I think Greg Gumbel does a phenomenal job at everything that he does, and Jim Nantz generally does also. But maybe Jim Nantz was thinking about the Masters.
Oh, he's thinking about golf.
He was thinking about the Masters.
Whispering and carrying on.
Or maybe whoever works with Jim Nantz, maybe he's good with someone who's equal to him, but not necessarily holding it by himself, because that happens too, which probably was the case with Tony Romo.
I want to go back and count the number of times. I think I told it on your post, Rod.
It's the Super Bowl, Jim.
It's the Super Bowl, Jim. It's the Super Bowl. I was like, it's like Dan Fouts and Brent Musburger and Waterboy. Last game of the season, you got to lay it all on the line. It's all over here now. This is it. I was like,
oh my goodness.
We know that it's the Super Bowl, man. God.
Yeah, that's why we're
Super Bowl,
here.
Jim.
So
I appreciate his enthusiasm, but dang, man, come on.
Yeah.
So this is what's confusing for me, and I want you guys to answer, and we'll get to the officiating, and you guys can discuss it, and I'll just watch. But you guys talk about.
Gonna just watch you.
You guys talk about least watched, right? Mm-hmm. However, it's 2021, and we know that we're in the era of streaming. Right? And this is not music streaming where it's like, okay, you're gonna go platinum or not go platinum. We're talking about simultaneous streams here, broke records, right? I would argue that this was probably the most watched Super Bowl, like you thought it might be.
Yeah,
I didn't straight up. I streamed it.
The story that was written is that nobody watched it, but I was like, that's not true.
Yeah,
but that's what they're saying. I think that's what they're tabbing it as, and I know people watched it. Just like the pay-per-views are down, but people are sharing pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Right.
And then with this being, free over streaming, I stream everything. Like I have a number of streaming apps, and you're not even my live TV is through Hulu, so that's still considered streaming. Even though it's live TV.
You would think they would just put it together, lump it all together, because who was watching is more important than who's watching it on the satellite TV systems.
Right.
People definitely watched it.
So what was different for me, and I think you guys make some valid points other than the Super Bowl halftime show, but I think that most of the country agree with you guys that the halftime show sucked. At least most of the people in our culture.
Well, what was it? You liked it. What was it that you liked?
I like him. Like, here's the funny thing. My sister has said his whole career that he is a waste of air, which is like very vicious.
Thank you, Danielle.
He's like,
but look, it's the weekend and it's a halftime show. He's gonna put on his pop star hat and he's going to be a pop star. It wasn't the Soul Train Awards where he might get in his R&B bag, which he does very well at. He's gonna get in his pop star bag and do pop stuff. And I would tell you, I'd rather the Weeknd's pop stuff than Katy Perry's pop stuff and Lady Gaga's pop stuff. And to Rodney's point, what's my man's name? What's the brother's name with the curly hair? Russell Wilson's cousin?
Maxwell?
No.
Bruno Mars?
Bruno Mars? Bruno Mars killed it.
Yeah, he would have killed it.
Well, we can speculate. The Weeknd would have killed it.
The Weeknd did Michael Jackson's dance by 2 seconds, and that was all he did. He did Michael Jackson 2-step.
Hey, so look, so I see this guy is still posting what he posted on. I think he posted this on Rodney's post. The Weeknd was too long. Hey,
there you go, Raven.
Rihanna didn't enjoy it either.
The Weeknd's name should be Monday. It was terrible.
And it was so long, and it just kept getting longer and longer and longer.
He had demonic choir members.
Oh, boy.
He had dudes with jock straps on their face. This ain't drumline of death. Like, what was going on? That whole thing. I was dizzy. I should file a lawsuit.
Did you say drumline of death?
Yeah, they had them dudes on the field like they're gonna do something special.
Wait.
They didn't even do no drum line like marching formations. They just stood there in a line, straight line, like do jumping jacks or something. Do something.
Listen,
they was out there just walking.
Dietrich is always the voice of reason. They didn't allow him to have guests. There you go. Like, you know, he would have had
guests. He had 1,000 dudes on the field with him.
Right.
Guest singers. Like, you're a guest, AC, not the people watching us, but you're here.
That didn't make any sense.
They featured him.
They could have had them boys vaccinated.
Listen. The hill I'm going to die on.
So they were wearing masks. That's
could be a Mookie Betts hill, but I'm not going to die on the weekend hill. We're moving on from that.
They could have put Mookie Betts on there to dance with him. That'd have been happy. Look at Mookie dancing.
Maybe they should have let Mookie produce it. You know.
Well, Jay-Z needed a butt whoop for that. He knew that was whack.
Yes, he does.
COVID aside, they could have socially distanced.
So instead of furthering this narrative that Jay-Z was the guy that actually chose the weekend, can you guys research that and verify it? Because what I don't want to do is just spew unverifiable information here, because then we're just like everybody else.
We know that he is in charge of Super Bowl halftime show.
You can tell Rodney's from Southern Cal. We know that he's in charge. He don't even talk like that.
We know that. When he made the deal with Goodell, that was the key. That was the key. He was in charge.
Rodney just hopped in his Trey D bag. Well, you know. All right, Rod. Thank you very much.
Yes,
all right, I thought the red coats were coming. All right. Wayman Wiley is in his bag. What time is it? Oh, okay. He's almost off. All right. How much was that?
The COVID restrictions and social distancing, hiding masks. That's the only way you can explain those guys on the field with jock straps on their face. It was that COVID.
They had specialized masks. All right. So we're going to politely move on from the weekend. Thank you all for contributing. And once again, let us know where you're checking in from.
And AC is a weirdo because he liked that mess.
So to be clear, I like the weekend, and he did what I expected. Yes, it could have been better, but I liked it.
That was like if Prince sang some of his new stuff when Prince was alive and doing the Super Bowl and didn't do Purple Rain. That's what that felt like. Prince skipped all his hit songs and went out there and did some B-side songs and nobody liked. That's what that felt like. The weekend had three hit songs.
So I was at that Super Bowl that you're talking about with Prince, and if you're putting the weekend in that category, he'll take it. And now we'll move on. You just did. Now we're gonna move on.
No, that's all how bad it would have been if Prince didn't do Purple Rain.
Checking in from all. If you haven't already told us, Wayman, where are you checking in from? Shelton, where are you checking in from? Anybody else that hasn't yet told us where you checking in from? All right, so let's see. What are we saying about Jay-Z from Shelton? It's not popping up.
He don't want to. That's Rodney's facts.
There it is.
JV position, always good to research.
Yeah, see? Let's research it. Let's see what's what. Let's see what's what.
Either way.
And there are plenty of things that you could kill about the Super Bowl, and I would like for you to keep the Jim Nantz, Tony Romo energy going and leave that man alone. Leave the weekend alone. That dude came all the way from Canada to help us out.
Yeah, got all that Botox for nothing.
I won't speak bad about the dad because his career is probably over.
Him and Fergie need to go to get some rehab.
Well, how do you put him with Fergie? Did he sing the national anthem? What are you talking about? Let's talk about the national anthem and the half that was horrible. Okay, let's go with that.
The anthem wasn't bad. The duo, at least they tried.
Just had him play the guitar and let her sing.
Hey man, do what you do. If the weekend job all he can do is sing, then what's with all the marching?
They should have switched that and let him do the national anthem and let Jasmine Sullivan do the halftime show.
But you're leaving out the other guy, Rod. First of all, and second of all, this is the problem here. You got the weekend effed up like you had Candy effed up last week, Rod. Okay, hold on. All he can do is sing. No, that dude could play plenty of instruments.
Yeah, he should have played some instruments.
He should have played.
He should have brought them all on.
Back up. I didn't say he can sing. I said he can hold a violin. Don't Don't kill my credibility by me saying he could sing. I didn't say he could sing.
If you're on record saying he can't sing, that's killing your credibility.
No, I said he can hold a note.
He can sing.
He ain't no Maxwell, but he can sing.
He can sing what's average.
How many Maxwells are there?
You can find a karaoke guy to do what he did.
Hey.
Yes. And that goes for a lot of pop singers in today's era. You can find karaoke singers that can do what they do. They don't do anything vocally.
So I don't do this much, but I just muted Rodney's mic because he is just talking reckless as all get out right now.
I wonder how many followers he lost. Like how many followers he had before the show and how many followers he had after.
Oh my goodness. All right, listen, we are definitely moving on from the weekend. All right, terrible. So Shelton Gill, Wayman's in Carson, Shelton is in Long Beach. So Long Beach is thick.
Long Beach Shelton is my ace from Long Beach. He went to Poly with me. So
welcome Shelton from the first graduating class of Poly. Shelton was with you.
1908, right? 1908, 1911.
Congratulations. That was before the first graduating class of UCLA. All right. So you guys wanted to talk about officiating. So let me go ahead and tee it up for you. I'll just sit back and mute my mic. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to bash the ref. I know it's a difficult job.
On this, you're not getting ready to just run away.
Yeah, you on this too, AC. Don't unmute yourself.
We have plenty of football officials on here. Wayman Wiley.
All right, guys. So the glaring one to me was Tom Brady and Honey Badgers back and forth, trash talking, and they penalized the Honey Badger.
I have a question.
How does that work?
I have a question.
AC.
In your estimation, would you say that A, Tom Brady incited that situation, B, they were equally culpable, or C, Matthew incited that situation? Oh, pick me. I would say A. So I'm very confused by that because I felt that Tom Brady actually incited that. If you look back at it, Tom Brady had something to say. And then when he talked back, so I was confused. Well, I wasn't confused because I saw the first half, but I didn't understand.
So that one right there is more on the judgment of the official, right? Like whatever he heard in after the fact, like if Tom Brady called timer whenever he called him, and then he comes back and the ref heard what he heard, he gets the flag. Like to squash all trash talk, you flag them both up, no harm, no foul, and then both teams are on notice that we're not gonna have no trash talk tonight. In the moment, all they showed on the TV was Tom Brady running down Tyrann Mathieu to get in his face. Two grown men, nobody's swinging, nobody's doing anything, and unsportsmanlike conduct, 32 defense, 15 yards, first down. I was like, wait a minute, they are both jaw jacking. What could he have said to Tom Brady that was so bad that he would be the only one to get a penalty? I'm like, man, I know there's a couple of words you can't say as a white person. What did he say? Did he call him the worst cracker in the? I don't know what he could have said to Tom Brady to get the 15 yards that Tom Brady did not get when Tyrann said he called me something that I'm not going to repeat. And I was kind of like, did he call you the N-word? That's fighting talk. I don't think he went that far as Tom Brady. And he knows better than that. I'm just saying, if you got two guys jaw jacking, is it an official's judgment call to call one guy out and not the other?
So then let's talk about that. Yes, it's always really officiating is judgment, right? There are some things that are black and white, and you could say like stepping on the boundary line is black and white, but a lot of times we have to replay this and replay that to make sure that someone did step on a line or didn't step on a line. So it's always judgment, especially when it comes to punitive stuff like unsportsmanlike conduct. And there have been a number of times when you see a situation where someone is the instigator or the aggressor, and then the retaliator is the one that is flagged in football or teed up in basketball or flagged in lacrosse. You're not going to see an ejection in baseball for a retaliation or anything like that. Like they're going to get whoever they need to get in baseball. That's the one where you can pretty much see everything unfold. But yeah, so it's probably not so much they saw it all and decided, okay, Matthew was worse. It's generally that they probably saw the retaliation and whatever the retaliation was, or to your question, maybe heard something that was the retaliation.
It was very easy to see Tom Brady sprint almost 15, 20 yards to reach Tyrann and get in his face. So when you guys go back as an officiating crew and you guys are critiqued, will they ask those guys what was the basis of this call? Because we saw Tom Brady just as vocal, just as demonstrative, and just as intense as Matthew, but you chose to give him the penalty, justify your call. Is that something that happens in the meetings after the fact?
So yeah, but so let's say Division I level and higher, it goes a little different. So you're gonna make notes for all of your fouls, and you also make notes for all of your non-calls that might be of interest on film. So let's say there's no flag there, you're gonna make notes and say verbal altercation potential verbal altercation between Matthew and Brady, 5 seconds on the clock, second quarter, talked to both of them, no flag. Or if you do have a flag, you're going to put your notes of why there was a flag on that person, and then what you're talking about when it is then reviewed. So you write your notes in, and then your plays are going to be graded. The question might come down, well, okay, we're watching the film. Why did you only flag? I understand why you flagged this one, but why didn't you flag the other one? And sometimes it's, I didn't see that.
Right, Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady.
So let's say this: I don't work that level, but I know that no one's ever written because it's Tom Brady. They're gonna have to say something like it didn't reach the level of Matthew's da 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 da. But you can say, and here's the thing: you need to be as honest as possible. I didn't see Tom Brady's part in it. But then that's when there's the wider scope of the crew, and it's like, well, why did no one see that? Or they say, fair enough, we agree that Tom Brady's actions didn't reach that level, but we also feel like Matthew's actions didn't reach that level, so we don't like it. And I'm not saying that that's what happened here, because again, I'm not at that level. I strive to be at that level. But officials, human, that whole thing. But I don't think that anybody sets out to. I firmly believe that no one sets out to call a game in anyone's favor or against anyone's favor, and I don't think that's the right way to say that. I don't think that anybody does that on purpose since Tim Donaghy.
It's like I know you guys always educate me on how the basketball game is going and how you referee a star. It almost felt like that on that call. Like the guy was afraid to give Tom Brady an unsportsmanlike, because I was like, well, they both being unsportsmanlike.
So Dietrich, you seem to be pretty quick on the trigger. Dietrich, why don't you look up for us and see how many unsportsmanlike conduct flags have been thrown on quarterbacks in 2020? Like, think about that. So I don't know that I don't ever want to be devil's advocate in favor of Tom Brady, because I feel like he gets a lot of that. But think about it. The quarterback is the most heralded and at the same time most heralded and most protected position in football. So it could be a quarterback thing versus anybody allegedly violating the halo of the quarterback. So maybe if that happened on the other side of the ball and it was somebody on the Buccaneers coming at Patrick Mahomes, or Patrick Mahomes going at them and then them seeing the retaliation or whatever it may be, maybe they throw that flag on Tampa just because you can't even respond to a quarterback. I don't know for sure, but I know that quarterbacks are very, very, very isolated and protected.
Yeah. All right. So I'll move on from that one. That one will just be up in the books. I know pass interference is very hard to call, and especially in the red zone. The one, I'm not sure if you guys remember the play after the long pass where the feet got tripped up, incidental contact pass interference. And then I think the play after that, they called one on Tyrann Mathieu that was uncatchable, but they still said he grabbed the receiver on the way up the seam. I believe it was Mike Evans. I played defensive back in the red zone before, and you don't backpedal. You don't move. You hold your ground on the goal line, and when the receiver runs into you, you do the best you can. And another play was when the receiver ran into the defensive back, and you do the best you can to hold your ground. But they called PI on the Chiefs both times. What is the rule on pass interference on incidental contact, be it 5 yards or in the open field? Does the defensive back have any right to ground?
So let me answer. All right, so let's go with the first one. And by the way, I can say this with conviction. I like both of the calls. Both of the calls that you're talking about. I did call Rodney about that. We didn't talk about the disparity of calls at that point. We just talked about the fact that I like both of those calls, and I didn't like the Chiefs complaining on those. And then when we look back at what happened in the first half, it became kind of tough. But so you say incidental contact, and I say he tripped him. Like he whether he meant to or not, he tripped him. Like he wound up taking his feet out and tripping him. And so the argument from Kansas City was that was uncatchable. But one of the things that my mentor taught me back when he was who was he officiating? I don't know. He said it was Marvin Jones or somebody. I don't remember who it was, but he had a game in college where he thought something was uncatchable, and the guy jumped back from the corner of the end zone and caught it with one hand and somehow worked his way back into the end zone and landed and scored. So once he saw that, he knew that uncatchable probably needs to be 20 yards beyond the receiver, because you just don't know what these super athletes like you and Jimmy Mack can do, right? And the younger versions of you guys, you just don't know. But if you take out that man's feet while the ball is in the air, that's PI. And there's no way. So to answer your question, incidental contact is not PI. But when you have incidental, doesn't mean just that you didn't mean to do it. Incidental means negligible contact. It means not enough contact to cause a restriction. Just because you didn't mean to do it doesn't mean that there's not a restriction. And then when you look at the one in the end zone,
the receiver started it. What is we supposed to do? What is the defensive back supposed to do when he's on the goal line, squatted? Can the receiver run into a defensive back? Tom Brady sees it's about to happen and throws the ball in the direction to get the call. I think it was a very skilled play by Tom Brady to throw that ball when he threw it. They know that Honey Badger squats. He does not move. He runs into Honey Badger, causes Honey Badger to grab him, and the ball is thrown over his head on purpose.
So that's how you viewed that he ran into Matthew and caused him to grab him.
Yep. I've done it before.
So if it happens like you're describing it, well, first of all, if you don't grab him, then you may have OPI based on what you described.
You can run it. I mean, it's so hard to pinpoint, even on the interception play, where the guy was pressed jamming, and then the ball is deflected and Honey Badger intercepts the ball. That hand fighting stuff, is that something you guys kind of like negate early in the game, or are you going to decide to let them play today, or whatever it's going to be? Because if you're getting pushed, you have to grab. I think it's a two-way thing, and it's depending on who going to get a call, being it's an all-pro versus a nobody. I mean, I was a victim of this when I played. I'm playing against Curtis Conway. I'm not going to get a call on Curtis Conway. They're going to call me PI every time, even if he pushes me, because he's Curtis Conway and I'm a nobody. You know, that's stuff happens all the time.
SC Curtis Conway or New York Jets Curtis Conway?
Chicago Bears Curtis Conway.
All right, Chicago Bears Curtis Conway.
I was playing with the Cardinals. He's playing for the Bears.
Yeah, so okay. Well, probably at that level for sure.
I mean, it happens. I mean, I know, like I said, man, no disrespect to the profession. It's very difficult. But I just know that it's almost impossible today to guard people, being that the rules are the way they are. So
I have to look at the replay, and I'm trying. If somebody could send me the replay, I'd appreciate it. So wait a minute. Let me introduce my dad.
Yeah.
AC Senior is on.
He looks just like you, man.
I look like him. Shout out to AC Senior, and then somehow Thaddeus has has joined us. So go Bruins, and Thad is saying what's up to you, Dad. So
All right, what's up, Dad?
Thad love.
All right, so
All right, fellas. Yeah,
this is episode 48 of the Collective Podcast. We are live. I have Rodney here. We have guest host Anthony Cobbs, AC Sports Live, and then we have guest host Anthony Carter Sr. Can't get any better than this. This is absolutely great.
We got to call him Grandpa now.
Gotta call him Grandpa. Absolutely. I thought you were gonna call him Speed Racer, but yeah, you definitely gotta call him Grandpa.
That's right. He's Racer X.
Right.
And everyone else, he can be Mr. Carter or Grandpa Carter.
So TreVon is responding to what Ant said about Tom Brady's, being skilled and then plotting that. So this is how I saw it. And if someone could send me the link to the replay,
it's equivalent to Joel Embiid getting an and one on the flop.
I'm not
that.
So, and for the listeners who have no idea who Joel Embiid is, he plays in the NBA for the Sixers, and he tells you to trust the process.
Anticipates contact. Even though you don't have to get it, he'll anticipate the contact. And that's what they did. It happens all the time.
So I'll say
that flat that there are no quick trick. That wasn't a quick trigger flag. See, that's the beauty of football. You don't have to be right there like you do in basketball. You can wait and then throw. So no, that was they're very methodical. Wayman said what's up to you too, Dad.
I'm glad you said that. You said wait and throw.
Yeah.
That interception happened. He waited.
Doesn't happen right away. I'll take the long pass that, and Cobbs, I understand what you mean with the incidental contact. And maybe if they were side by side and their feet got tangled, it wouldn't look as bad. But when he had him by 2 or 3 steps, and he tripped from behind, you're taking away a potential touchdown.
Yeah. That was a good play by the defensive back. Get a PI. But at the same time, on the other side, a few plays later, you have a late flag on a jam that takes away interception. And then you get, I asked Rodney about that offsides on the field goal. Who calls that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
and see, AC, he laughs at me because I talk to players on the field or on the basketball court, and I'm like,
they weren't offsides though. They weren't offsides. 20 was behind the guy in front of him.
Well, but then again, it's always.
It was the guy on the other side. Like, no.
Both of them were good.
No,
it's always angled, like TV angles. It doesn't show you a clear picture, like especially if you're doing a football game and you got the offensive line and you always have it where the center looks like he's in the front, and it's almost like the guards are right next to his hips, and then the tackles are right next to their hips. I'm like, okay, now you got a crescent moon. It's not even a line anymore.
Are you allowing that? You allow it from the game, the outset of the game. You allow it.
So nobody's allowing anyone to pierce the neutral zone ever in the game. Like, that's not a thing. It's not like, oh, we're talking you through that. It's a flag from jump through the end, and you have people standing on the line of scrimmage, 2 people on the line of scrimmage on every play. And that's one of the main things that they're looking at. Are we going to have a snap with someone in the neutral zone? If so, that's a flag.
I've never had a referee not tell me to back up.
And those type of penalties can't be disputed.
But
you have to look and see where the ball is, and you have to say, okay, I'm too far. I got to back up.
So here's the thing. You're talking about 2 different things. So let's talk about it. When you point at the ref, I don't even say ref. When you point at the official, whether it's the down judge or the down judge or the line judge, you're letting him know, like, okay, this is what they do now. I'm off or I'm on, right? He's clearly on, but that's special teams. That's not a normal snap. That's a special team snap. And I'm gonna tell you, no official is in 2018, 19, 20, 21, especially at the NFL level, they're not yelling, hey, back up, you're offsides. You check with them, he or she, and they're going to let you know whether you're on or off. And I bet you $1 to a donut hole that person, Hartman, did not check with that down judge or line judge to see if he was on or off, and he was clearly off.
Who taught you that? Dallas do not hold your dad. Dad, did you teach him that?
Yeah, I think he got it from me.
It might have been from his dad. So
that's a good one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use that one.
Yeah.
My thing, man, with number 20, he wasn't the one that was offside. Like he didn't jump the ball snap. He was just lined up there, but he wasn't the one that was furthest to the line. So my thing was, why? I mean, I know you say they're not saying back up, but they were on the line of scrimmage for a good 5 seconds, and nobody jumped offsides. They were lined up offsides.
Yeah. So that's why you had the snap.
But special teams players, they never check. They get in their formation, and because they really figuring out that this person may snap the ball quickly. So they're just trying to get in their formation as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen.
Takes away from the game, in my opinion. It takes away from the game, man.
Well,
but that call gets throughout the season all year long.
But that's the most irresponsible penalty in football.
Yeah.
Because you can literally see the ball. And the problem is when you have people who are not used to being on the line of scrimmage, right? That guy, he's on special teams. He's not used to being on the line of scrimmage. He's used to dropping back into coverage, I imagine. So that's the difference for him. But the thing is, it's just so this is easy. Like that's not even judgment. That's what I'm saying. Like you're in there at the snap, it's a flag. It's a live ball penalty. If you get back before the snap, then you're good. But he didn't even look like he was way offside. Like he was way very much.
He was not way offsides. He was barely offsides.
Well, that's the next way.
And he did not even move at the snap.
He doesn't have to move.
Yeah, he doesn't have to move. If he in the neutral zone,
line up in the neutral zone,
it's a wrap.
So
that's something that gets routinely called. That gets routinely flagged throughout the season. I mean, people don't really notice it because normally it's just kind of like, well, they lined up in the neutral zone, move the ball up 5 yards and just let them re-kick this field goal. And it's normally just a field goal kick where they just moved up 5 yards. And so people say, well, they were going to make that field goal anyway, so it didn't hurt us any. And nobody really pays attention to it. But when you get it on the big stage and people are looking at every single thing and isolating on every single thing, now it's magnified.
Yeah, and in my mind, the argument should be, how in the hell do you wind up offsides on a fourth and less than 5 field goal try in the Super Bowl? That I don't agree with you, Jimmy Mack. That's not about the officials. Like, why should they let that slide? Whether he wound up rushing the kicker or not, you should be more responsible than that. That's easy to avoid.
Yeah, not on
both ways then, because that tackle, that left tackle's offside half the time, not on the line of scrimmage, illegal formation. I don't know, man. It took away from the game for me. All them penalties took away from the game.
So do you know what the left tackle has to do?
He has to be on the butt of the left guard. Is that what the rule? What's the rule? What's the rule? Ain't nobody on the line of scrimmage and the ball's on the ground for offense.
Right. So yeah, he's got to.
What's the rule? 2 yards?
No, it's not 2 yards. But you can tell when you're on. You can tell when you're on as a lineman. But here's the thing: everybody gets the same concessions as linemen, and this wasn't a lineman offsides. This was.
I appreciate refs like Rod when he said, "Hey man, back up."
Well, but you know what? I'll clear.
Yelled at the Super Bowl, and come on, man.
I will do that for a lower level. Now, college a game, I work a lot of side and field judge and back judge. So when I'm working side judge, I'm behind the line of scrimmage. I'm not doing all that. And field judge, I'm under the goal post, so I'm not doing all that. I'm speaking of just a lower level, like Jimmy Mack is a high school coach. So when I'm,
Who doesn't like officials?
Say it again.
Who doesn't like officials? Let's say the whole thing.
Yeah. So if you got a young team out there, I'm going to tell your receiver, hey, back up a little bit. Or
Rod is too much of an Uncle Rodney out there. That dude want to make sure that everybody does the right. He's too nice for me.
I want them to learn.
I know,
You know,
but I feel like they should get that from their parents and coaches. Rodney feels like they should get it from whoever they should get it from. So that's where we differ.
But it just makes my game. I feel like it makes the game for me cleaner. Like I don't have to throw as many flags. If I tell your coach, hey, you know what, 85 keeps is he's not close enough to the line of scrimmage. Move him up for me. I'll do that one time. I'll tell the coach, so the coach could say, hey, you know what, 85, move up some. So now the coach knows, all right, he gave me a warning, and now when I throw that flag the next time because he's not where he's supposed to be, nobody looks at me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what I mean? Like, or even in basketball, if I say, hey, coach, you know what, 33 gonna have to clean those screens up. They look a mess. Hey, get to your spot and stay still. You know, he'll yell at him.
What's your guy's name? Sharif or Shamar? What's his name? The guy at Poly. What's your guy's name at Poly?
Who's Sharif Matoya? Well, he's not the coach anymore. But
he's not there. But that was my guy. That was the guy, right, Sharif?
That didn't care for you.
With him, I would tell him what the kids are doing wrong, why I called, whatever. But he just didn't appreciate it coming from me. So in my mind, why am I taking all this extra time to help you coach your team when you're the one getting paid to coach your team and you're coaching at a major program like Long Beach Poly? Cobbs and Rodney will tell you that they have, the most NFL players in the history of mankind, something crazy like that, or most pro athlete, whatever it is. Poly has a very nice distinction. So I'm not going to coach Sharif to coach Long Beach Poly. I don't need to coach Bugs on the girl side. Bugs knows what he's doing as a coach. I don't. It's just funny. But what I'm saying is, at the professional level, you're not getting the extra stuff. And then here, who makes this great point? Yeah, Javon Moore. He's not even an official. Like, he's a player, like y'all.
He didn't even rush the kick though.
He just
stood up.
Well, you know what?
If you watch it, he wasn't more offsides than 17 on the other side. It was more offsides than number 20.
But the guy on the other side almost blocked the kick. He got in there.
But he called on him.
But here's the other thing. This is the other important distinction here, Anthony. So we wind up in a situation where, let's say they don't flag it, but then there's a penalty against the offense. You should have had offsetting penalties, and that's why you don't let stuff slide.
Right.
Because in the world of having offsetting penalties that are not offsetting penalties, because you now have a flag on the offense when somebody was clearly in the neutral zone at the snap, and then now maybe they're out of field goal range. And I didn't want Tampa Bay to win, but I'm just saying, like, this stuff is textbook. And I do mean literally textbook, rule book. This is easy stuff. We're not even talking about the difficult stuff.
That was terrible.
Football is not one of those games that you can let something slide and then you end up penalizing other teams.
And we watched the play together and analyze. Like, I want to hear Dad's opinion. Can we watch the play? Can we share the screen? I got the play queued up.
You got to play it up?
I got it queued up. I want to hear Dad's take on it.
Do you have the share option?
I think it does. It says share.
Yeah, go ahead. Take it away.
All right, let's see if it works.
Should it already be working? Oh, no, there it is.
All right. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So 17's offsides. They didn't call it on him at the top of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
They called it on this guy down here on the bottom. And he doesn't even rush the kicker.
Oh,
so I know you got to call it both ways, but just to watch it in live time, nobody called it except the new female ref.
Stop that. All right, so first of all, stop that.
I want to hear the dad.
First of all, shout out to Carl Cheffers, the referee on this game. He's out of the Long Beach unit too. So shout out to Carl, sales manager at Johnson Controls. Listen, show me the angle where the other guy's offsides. But here's the other thing. This flag happens as soon as the ball is snapped, before you can tell who's rushing and who's not. This is a live ball foul that the flag is thrown at the snap 100% of the time. That's the mechanic.
Right.
So you don't know who's rushing and who's not rushing. And you're going to have to show me the angle where the other guy's offside. I think he was, but guess what? The guy on the other side of the ball probably got a downgrade for not throwing it.
Right.
If that person is also in the neutral zone.
Yeah, because it looks like several people are offsides.
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks like it to me.
Either way, the call is legit. And that's what I mean by, if you look at this angle right here, you seeing it from an aerial view where you're at an angle where now if you're down at the line of scrimmage where you lined up with the ball, then you could probably see a million people offside.
Right.
So either way, the call is legit. I mean, like it, and I heard the announcers, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, saying the same thing, like, oh, they shouldn't have threw that and just let them. But you can't. Tony Romo knows he'd have been screaming if they let it go and he was on offense and had a chance for a first down or some points. He'd have lost his mind. He's done it before. So
yeah. That's an easy one. You want to go to that pass interference?
Let's see if it's on here. I just picked up a YouTube clip. Let me see if it's
on
here.
Called Super Bowl bad calls. That's hilarious. That's a great call. It's an easy call, but it was a great call. So if you guys made that call.
Now, isn't there a call that if there is a tip ball, pass interference is no longer
right
in play?
Right.
I thought that was one of the calls that was like, well, I thought if you saw the ball tipped, you can start grabbing.
So show me what you're talking about.
It'll show the other part. The pick is a pick, but they're going to call pass interference on the guy and the other.
Well, yeah, it wasn't on Tyrann Mathieu, and he was going crazy. It was on 35 for a hold.
Which has nothing to do with the tip.
Right. No, but the ball was tipped, and he's guarding somebody else. The ball was not going to him.
Yeah.
He's out here playing pass coverage. He's grabbing. He's grabbing because he got pushed. He's grabbing.
That's right. He's grabbing.
But you're taught if you're getting pushed, here's been Mike Evans push.
Well, okay. So Anthony, go back up. Let me see the receiver in you because I know you played like 7 positions.
I played both.
Okay, grab. Go back. Oh, he's gonna play. So you're only talking about afterward, impeding, and then a push, and then a grab. He's impeding him getting to his spot off the ball. Got him. Pulled jersey, then he pushed him off. Listen.
First 5 yards. What's the rule in the first 5 yards? You can put your hand on his shoulder, right? First 5 yards.
Well, I didn't say pull. I didn't say put his hand on his shoulder. He pulled
right there. Hand on the shoulder.
His jersey.
That's
can see it coming off.
Can't do that. Can't do
that. That happens every play.
He's got the right to knock that hand down. So he didn't grab his jersey off of him.
Listen, all right. So I got to go to Jimmy. Jimmy, listen. These guys will lose. Okay,
he's grabbing. No, he grabbed his leg, but he didn't grab his jersey.
Jimmy, if it's happening like you're saying it's happening, these people wouldn't even make it to the Super Bowl. They would you have to be an ethical official.
This is the one that I really think.
Yeah, well, hold on. Before we get to this one, I want to respond to Jimmy.
All right.
No, it's not convenient. Like the flag was for holding. It wasn't PI. The ball. There's no.
The ball hadn't left the quarterback yet, so there couldn't be PI.
Yeah, it's holding. So that it's not about convenience. Like that's what that call was. It had nothing to do with the other side. It had nothing to do with the tip. That's not PI.
I think they're both fighting for the position.
Well, someone fought before the other one, and that's what was thrown.
Yeah.
And to go back to I think it was Shelton's earlier, it might have been Shelton, Dietrich, or Jay Moore about the hand fighting. Yeah, that is up. That is up. And by and large, they're letting the hand fighting go, and they're not calling that a restriction. But when you can pull someone's jersey, then you're basically taking steps away. Think about that. When your steps are taken away, they're impeding your progress, whether you're going away from the ball or coming back to the ball. But let me see this play.
You want to see the catch again?
So at this point,
again?
At this point, I'm no longer trying to convince Jimmy that there's not a conspiracy against. And how do they choose who to conspire against, Jimmy, in your mind? Like, how do they choose who to conspire against? It's the same check.
See, I don't think he pushed him to make him grab. I think the grab came before the push.
Yeah, it's there.
He's got him wrapped, and Evans is trying to get his arm away to get out of it to come back for the ball. So, that's if I was on that play and I'm the field or side judge over there, I see it the same way.
Yeah.
That's a legit play.
Show it one more time.
How
Show
do
it
I
one more
stop?
time before you show the end zone one.
Okay. They won't replay this end zone one. It's only on there one time because this is the person that made this is totally against the calls. And I just wanted to see it, trying to see it without Jim Nance and Tony Romo trying to sway me how to think. But I know what I feel and what I saw. I know the rules are the rules. I just know there's no way you can play defense. And it's almost like playing defense in the NBA. There's no way you can play against a 6'5", 235-pound receiver running a 5-yard route. And he's going to do the Michael Jordan push off by naturally, having his arm on your back. You have to do some kind of grab, and it has to be some type of hand fighting for you to even have a chance against a big physical receiver. And that's the chance you take.
Well, so my response to that is it's pretty simple. You play defense, and then you look for the OPI on that, which you don't wind up getting because you're not just hand fighting. Like you said, that hand fighting is fine. You can impede the progress within 5 yards because you have no illegal contact.
It's a 5-yard route.
But when you're grabbing his shoulder and you're taking away steps, that's different. That is holding.
It's a 5-yard route.
So do you
grab them in the open field?
Component of him grab. Okay, so he already wanted to turn, but he couldn't turn. So nobody's out there analyzing what kind of route it is. Like that, you guys are thinking too much into this. It's what he did, what violated the rules, so he got a flag thrown. And it was for holding. It couldn't have been PI, so they didn't choose between holding and PI. It was holding. If the ball would have been in the air, then it would have been holding first and then PI.
Yeah, that's a hard one, man. I don't think you're ever going to get people to be understanding and okay with that because it's no way you can win. As a defensive back, man, there's no way we can win because if you playing against a guy that's bigger and stronger and can jump and run, how in the world are you supposed to defend that? There's no.
That's on the coach,
and that's why the leagues are trying to find these 6'5", 230 receivers.
That's on the coach.
Yeah. What if you one of those DBs that's 6'2" and 200, 210 that's strong enough to get through it, then you in demand.
Ever talk to your GM?
If you 5'9", 180, it's a wrap, brother. It's a wrap. So you better stick that linebacker over there in the back.
You can do because they can't run. They can't run. They can't run with them guys, man. It's made for a track meet. It's made for guys to score.
Because I feel like I've seen more in a big game, like when the Patriots played Indianapolis and the Patriots had Rodney Harrison and Ty Law. I used to see them just beat receivers up, and I felt for Peyton Manning because I'm like, he's never gonna complete a pass. Like they would just gang tackle him all the way. But you also have to know whose crew you dealing with. As coaches, they have to say, hey, you know what? I know this crew, or I know how this side judge or field judge operates. They call it pretty tight, and they know each other on that level. They do scrimmages prior to the season starting with these guys. They know it's not a mystery, and those guys during scrimmages, they tell them, hey, this is how I do things, and this is how I operate. So
Jimmy said he hate red. So I know it's hard, man. It's just hard, AC, man. I know where you're coming from, bro. You rules and stuff, but dang, what are you supposed to do?
And you know what? When you start getting the rule book and you become an official, you see the game like
Definitely.
if you played at Cobbs, but if you became an official tomorrow and you read the rule book, it would totally recondition your thinking of how things are supposed to be. And then you wouldn't see it as a player anymore. You'd be looking at like, well, why did he make this call? Or why did he do this? Or why? And your mind, like I can't even watch a game without trying to figure out, well, what's this purpose? Or does it serve the game?
This is hard, man.
So this is my last. I guess 30 seconds talking to Jimmy about officials ever. He's going through some kind of
It'll come back again. It'll come back. It'll come back.
So here's the like we're not talking about Poly versus Milliken or Poly versus school up north. Where did Maurice Jones?
De La Salle.
Yeah, we're not talking about Poly De La Salle for the California championship. We're talking about the NFL, Jimmy. We're talking about the Super Bowl. Nobody care. No, none of these officials care what was written in the paper, bruh.
I want to go back and watch Ty Law versus Isaac Bruce.
But that was a different game.
I want to see
a different game. When you talk about Deion Sanders versus who's the enemy? Deion Sanders versus
Jerry Rice. Andre Rice.
When he was with us against Michael Irvin.
Okay.
Michael Irvin was beating the hell out of Deion Sanders, but that's just what was allowed then. But this, hold on. Let me get this out for Jimmy Mack. I'm not talking officiating with you again. This is bonkers. No, I'm not. I promise I won't. I'm just getting it off now. This is bonkers that you really think this little of officials that you think they're up there reading the newspaper or whatever, reading online and saying, "Oh my goodness, the Kansas City defensive backs hold. All right, let me look for that and throw it." No, they're looking for whatever they're looking for when they are manning and womaning.
It makes a difference, man.
Okay.
It makes a difference, AC, because when you in basketball, when you guys got Shaq tonight, how you gonna officiate it? Oh, they get heads up, man. KCDBs hold a lot.
Every year there's a point of emphasis. So when they put in points of emphasis on what they want us to call, some teams are gonna get better with it, and some teams are gonna suffer for it.
Yeah, but hold on, Ryan. Like let's be real. The whole how do you officiate Shaq is the biggest dilemma in the history of the NBA. Like that's not this. That's not
okay. All right. So what if it's a star corner? Say that was Jalen Ramsey putting hands on another receiver because he's physical. You don't call that. That's the best corner in the league.
Yes, you do.
They wouldn't call it on Jalen Ramsey.
You would.
I don't think Jalen Ramsey would play it the same.
But that's the thing. If he does that, they're calling that. Like that. Listen, you don't have to.
Ty Law and Otis Smith and them guys beat them Rams.
Can't talk about Ty Law. We're not talking about 2000. We're talking about 2021. The rules have changed.
They changed.
Spirit of the rules.
The rules have changed for the offense to be successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can live with that. I can live with that.
Yes, we know that.
I'll be done with that.
Yeah.
Now Tom Brady can't be the GOAT because he has an advantage.
He does.
He doesn't get touched. He don't go to the ground. He didn't even get dirty in a football game.
Which is a completely different argument. Yes, I agree with all of that. I agree with that. But this thing that Jimmy is talking about, this is my problem. Like, we're not okay. So D1 football, right? I'm not looking at. I don't care who the star receiver is. It's not about that or who the star defensive back is.
Yeah, you do.
No,
you do. In the NFL,
it needs to be called.
Yeah, you do. It's the NFL. You got to go by the stars, or you won't be working next week.
And listen,
this ain't modern day.
They don't do everything like they can't. Nobody has a perfect game. But if this happened, like you're talking about, Jimmy, they probably got a downgrade. Like that's the thing. It's not like, oh, they said it's okay. They don't have the last 2-minute report like the NBA does, so that they can tell you where everybody got downgraded.
It's a subjective call. Every DB in the world says there's no PI, and every Kansas City Chiefs fan says no PI. Every Bucks fan says pass interference. It's just how you see it, man. And I know as refs, you guys got to.
There's no ball.
Those are the rules.
Well, there's no ball. It can't be PI if there's no ball in the air. So that's not even what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, holding or whatever you want to call it. I just know in the first 5 yards, I've seen worse.
Yeah.
Hey, I wish that was why I didn't do Super Bowl.
Have you ever seen a two-hand jam? A two-hand jam and the receiver gets jammed up in the throat and gets jammed up all the way out of bounds? Like, I've seen some guys get really manhandled before and no call. And the refs is like, man up, get stronger, get in the weight room. And this is NFL. Like, when I was playing, I'll play special teams. I'm out there playing gunner versus 2 guys. Refs talking to me. Hey, man, good luck. Hey, you got to man up today, bro. You got James Hasty and these dudes out here, and it's like, oh man, your job you're gonna be here all night long getting beat up. And hey, man, get back in bounds. You can't stay out of bounds so long. And he be telling me, I know I can't do nothing about it. I'm getting beat up out here.
Yeah, right. Guess what? It's a different game now. Those same little tidbits. But let's go back to Keith. Yeah, Keith, I agree with you, and I disagree with Rodney. I yes, they know who's working their game. Yes, that's true. They do know who's working their game, but I don't believe that once you get to the Super Bowl, they're like, okay, I'm gonna get this from this guy, this from that guy, this from that woman. No, you know that these are the people who have been deemed to work the biggest game on the biggest platform this season, and they're gonna call it like they should call it to keep their jobs.
I don't disagree with that.
The young lady, bless her heart, the young lady called the offsides, and the dude was like, "You sure? You want to put your name on this one? Because nobody else was going to call it." She's like, "Yeah, he's offsides."
She's the only. Okay, so if you're saying Sarah Thomas
got her some camera time
through that flag, if you're saying Sarah Thomas threw that flag and she was on this side of the ball, like where the guy was that you say didn't rush the kicker, she's the only one that can call that. The other official would have to call the one on the other side of the ball. That's how that works.
And the reading them was like, man, she ain't calling no more. I don't want her on my field ever again.
And guess who doesn't have a say in that?
Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Hey, she got her name in the paper.
Yeah.
She's solid.
All right, man. I appreciate your honesty. Both of y'all, Rod and AC, me and Pops, we're gonna have to just be fans and just understand that's the way it is. That's just how it is, and we gotta just live with it.
All right, so look, shout out to Keith Lester, Rodney's buddy. Shout out to Way. Dietrich is back. Jimmy Mack hopped on. Let's see, I think we mentioned Shelton's here. Jay Moore, Thaddeus stopped through. Shelton. Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone who's Dub Sheep checked in on Twitch. First one
there
ever.
You go.
Twitch.
That's how you reach the masses, AC.
Right, first one ever to check in on Twitch. Hey, anybody who's here now, tell us where you're checking in from. And yeah, Jimmy, I got you. I appreciate you, brother. So
you said that one call they gave Kansas City when Mahomes got smacked, and they called unsportsmanlike. Was it roughing the passer? And it was just a nice hit. It was nothing wrong with it except it was hard. And I was like, that's the cleanest hit I'm ever going to see on a quarterback, and they still called it. So I was like, I don't know what to do now. I don't know. It's just so.
Which play you talking about?
They sandwiched him. I think Dominican Sue and them guys, they just ended up all hitting me at the same time. And I think it happened twice. And one time they called roughing the passer, and there was nothing rough about it except they hit him hard. They didn't lower their head. They didn't slung him to the ground. They just all met at Mahomes at one time, and it was like smack. And they just like, man, he's getting called, man. He's getting his head beat in all night. He done ran for 400 yards backwards. Give him a call.
So that could be Carl's call, and I assure you that wasn't Carl's methodology when he threw that. And I wish you could show that play.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, see if you can find that play so I can tell you why it was roughing in 2021, because there's a lot that you can't do. Like you can't make contact below the knees. You get one step, and then even with that one step, you have to contort your body in a way where you're not putting body weight on people. You can't make contact above the shoulder, and we're talking about with the quarterback. You can't make contact above the shoulders. So there's a lot.
I think I found it. Yeah, I think. Yeah, they called it. They were just being men. They were just being grown men. Let me show you to you real quick. It was like, oh man, I feel like Tony Romo. Oh man, Jim. Oh Jim, this is Super Bowl Jim.
Well, somebody should have been telling Jim McElroy that it was a Super Bowl. Boy, is this guy on one. Goodness, makeup call.
It was a makeup call. Look at this kid.
Goodness gracious.
Can you see this?
No, I got to add it here. Just start it over. Makeup call. Makeup for what? Carl Tevin didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, that's what are you talking about? That's helmet to helmet.
Helmet to helmet.
On a quarterback.
That's right there. Watch. Helmet to helmet.
That's not helmet to helmet. He's falling down.
Okay.
No.
So, no.
He led with his forearm, and he still went forward.
93.
No, he just put his forearm on him. That's what you're supposed to do.
You can't go forearm to the face.
He didn't put it to his face. Put it in his chest. That's a good hit.
No, well, okay. So he delivered a punishing blow when he didn't need to. Like that.
Oh.
That's definitely roughing.
It's
That's
football.
Roughing. That's roughing. No matter that. Listen, Josh Rosen's gonna get that call too. That doesn't matter.
Oh, why you gotta be Josh Rosen? All right. Oh,
he's on my team. He's on my team.
Yeah, he ain't gonna play much. Oh man, I think they'll take that one. I think they'll. All right. How about this one? How about this?
Deshaun Watson.
How about the one where? Winfield threw up them deuces and ran away from Matthew?
That's definitely got to be flagged.
You gotta let that one go.
No, that was definitely got to be flagged. He almost squatted down on one knee.
That was fucked up.
I would have took that, fan. I would have took that one. Like,
yeah, that was okay.
I take that 15 yards.
All right, so
that was good.
Yeah, so look, I really wish you would come. It was good for us to discuss the holding because we were able to talk through that. But these other ones, like this stuff is easy.
I didn't see helmet to helmet when it happened. I think helmet to helmet is this. It's that movement. When the face mask and stuff hit, I think that's just hard for a defensive player to stop. Now, Ndamukong Suh, he probably didn't have to hit him, but if he does not, they take his knees out. They take out his own, he gets hurt. So I don't know how you're going to play safe and not play football.
On the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who am I happiest for? Ndamukong Suh. I'm so happy that he got one. I really am happy that he got one. I really like that guy.
I'm glad he got his reputation restored.
Yeah, shout out to because you know what? He showed up in LA and just played ball for the Rams.
He did.
And then he went there and he played ball. And he actually got a pick against the Rams.
He'll kick you in the nuts if he has to, though.
He don't do that anymore. Hey, Matt Maher, shout out to Matt out in over on YouTube. Elaine Williams is checking in. Hey, everybody, tell us where you're checking in from. Jimmy Mack, by the way, went to Bret Hart. And we used to live across the street from Bret Hart, so I think that's important. 714 West 95th Street is where we yeah, and that's where Jimmy went to June.
All right, I'm done, man. I appreciate y'all honesty, man. I don't hate refs. I actually I feel for y'all, man. Y'all job is not easy. I know I wouldn't last a week on the job because I would be like.
I think your PIC is just put here to antagonize me. Everything I say, he's got something to say as a counter.
We're all out of the NFL.
No, because if you actually started the rule book, you would look at it a lot. You would look at the game differently, and you would adjust. You wouldn't. You would adjust.
I told you I quit my first day on the Powder Puff referee squad. I couldn't do it. I was refereeing Powder Puff. I couldn't handle it, the parents badgering me. I couldn't do it. I was going to beat the parent up over a Powder Puff game.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
So Keith, let me respond to this, and maybe Rodney can kick in. And I know Dietrich is always willing to type some stuff out. So you can't call extra point offsides on every instance because people are disciplined, and that's the thing. Like you literally have two people standing on the line of scrimmage, making sure that nobody's in the neutral zone, and so that doesn't like that. It's very hard to miss that because that's one of their pre-snap keys, and I'll just talk about the college football and pro football. People are not missing that. Now, offensive line holding, you probably quote unquote could call it on every play, but there are very specific parameters of contact that are allowed that are not called holding. Like you can actually grab a jersey as long as your hands are inside of the shoulders, but then you can't take that person to the ground. But you can hold them, and then if they don't try to get away, that's another thing. If they don't try to get away, then you can hold them as long as you want to, and it's not holding. But as soon as you take a step away by having your hands inside of the jersey, that's a different ball game. So there are a lot of nuances to what's allowed on the offensive line and what's not. And then as far as defensive back holding, I feel like the game is set up against defensive backs anyway because they want a higher scoring game. They want offense. So yeah, that you potentially could, but that's why these people are in the NFL and they're working the Super Bowl and the playoffs. Well,
I hate that.
That's why they're in the NFL because
you don't know how it feels. You got your shoulder pads inside with some big dude from Tennessee with his hands upside your shoulder pads and put you on the bench. That's the worst feeling in the world, man. That's the worst feeling in the world. You look like a little kid getting put in your spot. I mean, we were playing against Tennessee. and I'm in the box. I don't know why I'm in the box. I'm in the box, man. This tight end must have put his hands in my shoulder pads, undone the buckle, and picked me up like this, and drove me all the way out the field and put me on the bench. And I looked at the ref. He said, "Man up, get in the weight room."
Yeah, oh, I love it. Man, wow.
That's holding. That's holding. That's restricting. That's disrespecting. I mean, I was like, and he put me on his bench. I'm on Tennessee's bench.
Man up. That's cool.
The ref said, "Hey."
Too cold.
He did Michael Jordan on me. He said, "Hey, get in the weight room." I was like, "It's a blip."
I think the last time I said that, I was working a poly game, and I told Antonio Pierce, not him get in the weight room, of course not, but one of his players, like he was complaining about something. I was like, "Yeah, just tell him to get in the weight room." I want to go back to what Shelton said.
Eat a sandwich.
He likes Rodney.
Get your weight up.
Yeah, get your weight up. He likes Rodney's idea of. He likes Rodney's approach, and I'll say that Rodney's approach is a favorable approach at times, but I feel like overall Rodney is too nice as an official at the lower levels. I feel like Rodney's approach is best served in middle school, junior high, lower level high school, but Rodney in a Long Beach Poly versus Oak Hill from Mouth of Wilson, Virginia game, and he'll try to be like telling people, how to avoid getting whistles. And the most I'm going to do at that level is just say, get out of the paint, get out. And I'm only going to say that so many times, but I'm not doing all that helping. But Rodney is very commendable as an official because he has that kind of patience. I just feel like people don't appreciate it. So why waste my time? You're going to complain 5 seconds after I help you out anyway. So I'd rather just not help you and give you a reason to hate me.
But you get a feel of who will and who won't. I mean, like, because that idiot who won't, he'll quickly show himself or herself, and you just kind of be like, "Hey, well, you can't talk to me for the rest of the night."
Sharif, why you keep bringing up Sharif? I thought he wasn't the coach anymore.
If Sharif don't like him, Sharif said, "Oh man, you homies with that dude? I hate that dude."
and that's a Sharif problem. But moving on. Yep, Jimmy says Bret Hart Saint. So have you guys ever heard the term "a shot in the dark"?
Yeah. Well,
I know you have.
You're gonna miss.
So Bret Hart, back in the day, I used to have had a red bike.
Yeah, patent that thing. It's here. You got to pay him every time you say it.
I had a red bike that had no gears. It was just a regular dirt bike, and then I had a blue bike that had gears. And somebody stole my blue bike. Like, we didn't live in a great neighborhood. Somebody just clipped the cable and stole the bike and left the red one. I'm like, okay, well, at least I still have a bike. But one night my dad was, I don't know, taking out the trash or something. And then he ran in the house and he was like, "I think I saw your bike," but it was a shot in the dark. And I'd never heard that term before then, but certain things about your childhood, you don't forget. So a shot in the dark means, you just saw a shot in the dark. Like he potentially saw my blue bike riding by in the dark, but the blue bike was never recovered. I just thought of it because at the time we were living across the street from Bret Hart, and he's on the podcast right now. So just wanted to reference a shot in the dark. Yeah. Oh, shout out to Elaine for coming on, who is reminding Anthony Cobbs that was definitely a blow to the head. On
I was just saying it wasn't like your typical, helmet to helmet. Like helmet to helmet is like really intense. I just don't know if him falling down is why their helmets hit.
Yeah. Sometimes announcers don't do the refs any favors by, saying things that they don't understand. And there was a holding penalty in the game.
Get a bike back, Jimmy.
Hey, so our listeners, Jimmy saying that he stole my bike when we were little.
That was your bike.
Go ahead, Rob.
But yeah, sometimes announcers speak on things that they don't really understand. And there was a holding penalty that was called. And I'm like, what's to argue? That guy got him in a neck lock and giving him a takedown. and it allowed the quarterback to step up in the pocket. And they didn't like the call. And so, people say, well, you can have holding on every play. I don't know if I actually agree with that. Some plays are quick plays where they get the ball out faster. And there are some, lines that actually do a great job of straight up blocking people. And then when you find that one guy on the line of scrimmage with bad feet who can't block anybody, he's normally the person that we can say, okay, we can keep an eye on 55. He's not very good. And that's that.
So good point, Rod. So two comments. So Dietrich says, I like Rodney's approach at times because when you do actually call a foul, you've communicated with the coach and there's nothing to argue. Well, I would argue that there's nothing to argue when I call my foul because my foul was a foul. And I could have a foul 5 seconds into the game. I actually did have a foul 20 seconds into my men's college basketball game last week. There was no time to talk to anyone. I cracked 20 seconds in, and it happens like that. And I think that if you set a precedent, and I'm not saying this is right, but if you set a precedent for talking and explaining things before you start calling things, then you can go down a rabbit hole and, you call it, it's time to call it on one team, but you haven't had to talk to the other team, so you can't call it on them yet. And then that coach is saying, well, wait a minute, you just called that against me. How are you not calling that for me? And so I think that Rodney doesn't do that. Like Rodney will, whenever he's going to make the calls, he'll call them on both sides. But I think in your interpretation of it, Dietrich, you wind up in a bad situation. So I think doing some talking is okay, but I'm generally talking to a coach. I'm not like, I'll step in and stop a player from getting a technical, but I'm not telling them how to avoid a block unless I've already called the block. And then they ask me how they can avoid the block. And they have to ask it right. It has to be, well, what could I do differently, ref? Or come on, ref, I don't think so, but what could I do differently? It can't be, how the hell was that a block?
Right.
See the difference? It's not going to end well.
And with me, and I'll clear it up, I do it when I see the potential. Like, I don't wait for that bad screen to happen. When I already see the way he's running down the floor and he's trying to set screens, he's not making contact, but he's running down the floor to set a screen, and I see, okay, he whiffed on the screen. He didn't make contact, but that might be a problem later. That's when I'll say, hey, man, clean that up.
Yeah, so that's a great point, and that's exactly what I will not do. But I will go to the coach, and I'm glad Rodney made that point.
All right.
I love calling me illegal screens. But no, this is what I'm going to say to the coach. He or she is setting bad screens, and I'll say what they're doing, and I'll tell them the number, and then as soon as they make contact, I'm calling it anyway.
Right.
Like, so what Rodney's telling you is he's not going to let there be contact, and then he talked them through it and not call it. He just sees it coming. But I don't want to tell the player because I don't want the player to say I was coaching them. It hasn't.
No, I probably should have cleared that up too. The coach.
Yeah. So I'm going to say it to the coach. But now I got to respond to Jimmy again. Listen, we don't pick and choose the flags. There's a methodology to the way that the rules are written and enforced, and there's also philosophy. We have an entire chapter at every level of every sport that is the philosophy of the rules, right, Elaine? So it's not, I'm going to call a hold on this and I'm not going to call a hold on that. No, we watch at the Division I level, we watch thousands of hours of film throughout the year. I'd say on lower levels, it's hundreds of hours. At the NFL level, it's tens of thousands of hours of what is holding, what is not holding, what is a takedown, what is not a takedown, what is PI, what is not, and all the different categories of pass interference. In the NBA, same thing. In Division I college basketball, same thing. You're watching play after play after play. You break down your own film, you break down other people's film, and you discuss it. You talk through, why isn't this a foul? Why is this a foul? So the lay person is never going to understand that. The regular coach is never going to want to understand that. But a lot goes into every whistle that we blow. A lot of prep. It's not just, we're not out there winging it.
I see what you say. Every referee has a obligation to determine what type of ref they're going to be. They can still be within the rules of the game, follow the book. And I think we had this analogy like last month about how being a ref or an official is like being a police officer, in that you have the liberty to run your city within the rules of the code or the policy, but you can also say, hey man, slow down, don't run that light next time, or giving people warnings and things like that. Is that something that you as an individual can go down a rabbit hole doing that, and that you are a beyond fair person, or you just a stickler for the rules, you can care less about what people think, you're a suspect, you fit a description, I'm going to arrest you until I find out if you're not the right person I'm looking for? You know what I'm saying? Like, have that kind of liberty.
Yeah, I think I think everyone, I don't know that everyone knows that they can determine what kind of official they're going to be. Because some people are like my buddy who's that substitute teacher who we always talk about. He's the worst official ever. He's the worst basketball official ever, and he doesn't know it. He thinks he's great, but he's horrible, and he will call the game accordingly, and he's never gotten better, but he's been consistent. Problem is, he's consistently inconsistent. So he's that type of official, and you never know what you're going to get from him. You just know that you're going to spend some time laughing and some time pulling your hair out. So that's the first thing. So on the other side of things, there are people who are too stringent and have no flexibility. And then you have most people who are somewhere in the middle, leaning to one side or the other, or leaning toward the middle, where it's, I need to understand the spirit of the rules and enforce them accordingly. So yes, more people are in the middle, and yes, you do need to determine what kind of official you are going to be, and you also need to learn. Here's the other thing: there are a lot of officials in all the sports that don't read the rule book. They don't make it to the pros, but they don't read the rule book.
You sound like you need to be in the police reform meetings, because it sounds like when you have rogue police officers, they don't read the rule book and they never got picked for a team.
You're right.
That's what I said a few weeks ago. If they follow the manual, we don't have all of this stuff going on. But they
don't read the manual. They do their own thing. So your bad referee are bad cops. Your bad referee analogy is the bad cop out there in the streets.
So
doing his own thing, thinking he's doing the right thing.
I'm hijacking 1585, and we're talking about whatever I want to talk about, because boy, Jimmy and Anthony want to talk about officiating today. Jimmy,
I was done after the all-sides penalty.
I know that Jimmy
is done.
I know Jimmy is responding directly to Dietrich. So let me just say this. I don't agree with how Dietrich worded that. Every hold does not affect the play. But let's give an example. If you have a hold at the line of scrimmage that is away from the play, away from the point of attack, and there is no takedown, by philosophy, that hold did not affect the play, and we are not supposed to call that. Conversely, if you have that same hold and there is a takedown, even though it did not affect the play, it was a takedown. You took that man or woman's feet, you took that man's feet from him. We have to call that. Now, that's me in Tennessee. That's the philosophy of a rule, right? All holding takedowns are supposed to be called. Any takedown that is a hold is supposed to be called. That's the most cut and dry that there is. When you take someone's feet away from them at the point of attack, that hold is supposed to be called. Even if you have a tackle within 1 yard, like even if the tackle happens a yard later, at the point of attack, if you have a takedown, or you take someone's feet from them, you take a step away from them, it needs to be called. But there's an art to calling holding. And as a center judge, my key at the snap is the left tackle. I got to be all over that. But pre-snap, I got to look at the left guard also. But I have to know how to call holding. I have to know what is holding and what is not holding at the Division I level. As a back judge at the Division I level or at the community college level, I have to know exactly what is holding, offensive and defensive, when it comes to receivers, when it comes to the passing game. I have to know what is pass interference, offensive and defensive, and all of the categories. And I have to know how to call them. When Jimmy, when you say that things have been inconsistent, yeah, everybody's striving for consistency. It doesn't always happen, but you have more consistency at the higher levels than you do at the lower levels. Right. But it's still not perfect because no one has a perfect day. And also, here's the other side of it. When Anthony asked, like, does everyone choose what kind of official they're going to be? You also tailor your style most often to your supervisor, and all of the supervisors are different for all of the different conferences at the Division I level. So when Steve Shaw is going to want one thing in the SEC, and then you're going to have Bill Carollo want something else in the Big Ten. When Walt was over the Big, when now it's Greg Burks over the Big 12, he'll want something different. So it won't always be clean, but what you try to have is as much consistency as possible. And that's why you have national mechanics. So you have a national mechanics book where everyone is supposed to be looking the same on the field and interacting the same. And then, but the rule book is left to interpretation. And that's why you have film, thousands of hours of film that we're all reviewing so that we can be on the same page with this stuff. And I know for sure that happens in football and basketball and lacrosse. I can't tell you about the other sports because I don't officiate them.
Yeah, I'm glad Elaine is on because she's been on both sides of the coin as far as officiating and policing. So, you know, she can school us on both aspects of how much they are similar and how much they are different. But I'm sure, you know, and she can probably tell us all better that there are people who just don't follow guidelines. And that's in any profession. That's just not officiating. But the only thing is different is when it comes to policing, you know, lives are at stake. If I don't follow a guideline on a football field or basketball court, I just think that day. But, you know, when it comes to life, somebody could end up without theirs.
Right. And somehow, speaking of blurred lines, like where is Robin Thicke when you need him? All right, listen. Jimmy.
Probably give him RFK his money back.
I didn't explain subjective reffing. What I explained was we all get together and interpret the rule book together. Like, that's the thing. The rule book is left to interpretation. There's no way around that. I told you everything is judgment, but you try to get more people to be on the same page with how to interpret the rule book because the rule book is not animated. There's no video in the rule book. So you have to have film and you have to discuss what is what and get on the same page. I'm not saying people make that decision every game. You make the determination over years and years of watching film and seeing what is a hold and what isn't. And holding, especially on the line, is probably the most difficult thing to determine, especially for lay people. Like, you guys have no idea what we should be calling. You either think we should be calling everything or calling nothing, and neither of those is correct.
Right.
Wow, this was amazing. We started off with the Super Bowl. So, I mean, we haven't talked about anything else. Pop quiz.
I apologize. I apologize. Mookie. The best player in baseball.
Listen, my goal, I want you guys to know, this guy does not like interviews, but my goal is to get Ricky Henderson on this show at some point. My favorite baseball player of all time. And then, of course, Mookie Betts, my current favorite. I sound like, oh, that's just disrespectful. I'm going to ban you, dude. What are you talking? All right, I'm not going to disrupt you anymore. I'm not going to let you disrupt me anymore.
That is hilarious.
We're not talking. Jimmy, bye. All right, Matt Maher, what do you guys think about the Britt Reed situation? So I'll start, and then I won't give an opinion. I'm going to say prayers to the families of the families of the two children that were injured. I don't have an update on the one that was in critical condition. I don't know if she still is. I hope that she's not. I have put them in my prayers. And then from a factual standpoint, I read that the police report said that the driver, and he at the time he was the unnamed driver, may have been impaired. So beyond that, I pray for the children. I pray for the children. Rodney, what do you have?
I didn't hear a lot of the details afterwards. I heard about it when it initially happened, that there was an accident and that he ran into the back of a car. If he was indeed drunk, he should go through all the things that a drunk person hitting somebody should go through.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
I have no pity for him. You know, that because those could be my children, and I got no pity for them.
No, you don't get a pass on that one.
Yeah, and I don't care who your dad is. You know, if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. Let your dad deal with you, and I'm gonna deal with my children.
Cobbs, did you have any thoughts on the Britt Reed situation?
No, I agree. I agree with Rodney Senior that he should go through the same steps as anybody else that has a DUI and nearly killed someone. He needs to have his license revoked, and he needs to pay hefty fines and everything that comes with it. No star treatment because you're Andy Reid's son.
Right.
You
at all.
I mean, you're gonna pay the family the nice little hair.
Yeah.
But you're a criminal, bro.
And if they felt that he was impaired when that accident happened, he should not have been coaching in a football game.
Did he coach? I thought he didn't coach. I don't think he coached. He didn't make the trip.
No,
he didn't.
He didn't
Okay. Or he should have been locked up and in the drunk tank with all the rest of the people who drink, you know, and get stopped. Yeah, that's too much, man. Because those little kids will never be the same, ever. Their lives are changed forever.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know this would be a topic.
How are they doing? I haven't heard the update.
I don't know.
The last I heard was one was like very critical.
Yeah, she's still in. All right, so the update is she's still in critical condition. The update on Britt Reed is that he is no longer, his contract expired, so he's no longer a member of the Chiefs. Yeah, so well, you guys know me. I don't think there should be any kind of. My dad's got a cat. That's so funny. I don't feel like there should be any exceptions.
Get down, you.
For anyone when it comes to this. Now, you know, I'll just leave it at that. Like right now, if you go through whatever your penalty is and then you come back from that and you're a better person, then I believe people deserve second chances. Right now, you know, if their policy is that if you're suspected to be drunk, you should have been locked up then he should have been locked up then. I don't know. I didn't hear about it when the accident happened that he was potentially impaired. I heard about that afterward.
Right.
Matt is also telling us that he's had numerous run-ins. And then Elaine is really weighing in. Rod, you want to tell the listeners what Elaine is saying?
She says he needs to fry. In 2007, he pled guilty to gun and drug charges as a result of a road rage incident. He's already had a DUI.
Okay, so
and he has so Andy Reid has two sons so both of his sons have had run-ins with the law. Am I correct? He has another son who's gotten a lot of trouble.
Are you talking? Well, he's got one son that died. Are you talking about that son? Or he's got another son?
I don't know how many children he had. I know the one who passed away. Did he also get in trouble with the law quite a bit before he passed away?
I'm not sure. And I don't want to go down the hole of us doing a whole bunch of speculating, but let's speculate on this. Jimmy, too bad you're not on. You're welcome to hit the link. Oh, where did Cobbs go? All right. Well, here's my question. If this were a black coach's son that was a black coach, could he have pled guilty to gun and drug charges as a result of road rage in 2007 and also have a DUI and be employable in the NFL as an assistant coach?
Absolutely not.
No way. Way.
There's Matt saying, things that make you say, All right, I'm just checking. Like a lot of times I just throw stuff out there and I have no idea how you guys will answer. Just want to know your thoughts.
And see, that's the biggest thing for me, probably that gets me the most pissed off, is because the constant nepotism in the NFL will ensure that these children of these coaches keep jobs and then hand them down to their kids and hand it down to their kids, regardless of if they're qualified or not. You know, It's kind of like, Gary Kubiak's son. just became offense coordinator for somebody. And once he's ready to hang him up, he'll probably have his son working if he has one, and that son will keep a job. And
Right.
and it's like a never-ending cycle, and they're afforded these things because they know the right people, and they get put on, and they put their family and friends on, and it just squeezes everyone out. And it's like, okay, they almost ensure that the same group of people, the same families are going to always be working in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
And from the beginning, when Andy Reid is probably 30 years old and he's an offensive coordinator or a tight ends coach or whatever he is, and he gets married and has children, those children are immediately a part of the team, because once he gets that job, they're the ball boys. They're the when they become a teen, hey, go get the coach's lunch from Wendy's or whatever and bring it back. And now everyone knows them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like they're almost ushered in. And the black kids are they don't have that same opportunity. And so that's what's sad about the whole thing. It's like the corporate people who show up at the NBA games and they bring their kids to the games. Well, yeah, when the players come out the tunnel, that's who they see, are those kids, because they're right there. And meanwhile, you got all these other kids from low income areas in the upper deck who will never make it down there to say hello and get an autograph. Like the rich stay richer. And it's in more ways than one, not just money, but what comes with the perks of being in that position.
I agree.
Well stated. Well stated, young man. Well stated. Well, so I want to go back.
Speaking of drunk in public, do you see Tom Brady?
No, I saw the alert come across that he responded to the drunk post, but I didn't see the video and I didn't see his response.
Yeah, he threw the Lombardi Trophy over a body of water between two boats, and then they had to help him off the boat because he was so hammered.
Oh,
I heard.
Public intoxication.
The goat. The goat got goated. The goat.
Yeah. So I thought it was. So speaking of this, Jimmy talks about Clay and Steph talking about being rich in experience, through their NBA journeys, coming up as NBA kids. And I actually saw Clay interview Steph the other day, and that was really cool. And then Clay asked Steph, who's a better broadcaster, Michael Thompson or Dale Curry? And Steph was like, come on, man. What do you think, Dale? I'd have to disagree, but of course I never listened to Dale. I only listen to Michael Thompson. But yeah, that's interesting. But check this out. One of the things that I took exception to during the broadcast was something I called Rodney about when Tony Romo said the culture in Tampa Bay will be forever changed by this Super Bowl win. Why?
Right.
Why did he okay, so first of all, Tony Dungy came there. First of all, Sam Weiss came there and did a little bit, but Tony Dungy came there and kicked in the doors and changed the culture. And it clearly didn't wind up being forever because they wound up sucking again after they won the Super Bowl the year after Tony Dungy left. But why? What is Bruce Arians a magician? And now all of a sudden the culture is, or is it Tom Brady? The culture is changed forever in Tampa Bay because of what?
It's just
I think you're. Go ahead. Go ahead, Senior.
It's just media.
Media.
It's a media thing. That's all.
Okay.
I think when you have Mike Evans said he'll take less money to stay. I think that remnant of Tom Brady's isms, whatever he's saying in the locker room, he was a big time leader in the Patriots locker room. People listen to him. He barks. People listen because he has those rings. It ain't that he's imposing physically. I mean, he looks like a 10-year-old boy when he takes his shirt off. I just know now that you've won and the guys have a feeling of how it feels to win, I think that feeling will stay for a few years. It is.
So, yes, for a few years, but we've already been through this. So I just thought it was very ambitious of Romo
It
to
is.
change forever. Like I just
Dad says
why?
media.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I'm with
Media.
that. And Matt, yeah, I'm bunching Dungy in. I mean, I'm talking about a coaching culture change. But yeah, Warren Sapp from balling out for Tampa Bay didn't hurt anything. You're absolutely right about that. But that defense was full of world class dogs for sure.
And quite a few leaders on that side of the ball.
It's your kid's first day of school, you're gonna lose your job.
Come on, man. You sound like you sound like you're calling in from Philadelphia, man, on a phone in a phone booth. Can't hear you.
Yeah, but no, I'm a piggyback on Senior. The media definitely drove it, especially last year. Like they had everybody cheering for Andy Reid. Oh, he deserves one.
Right.
And when I heard that, I'm like, why does he deserve one more than anybody else?
Yeah, why does he deserve one more than me? Like, what are y'all talking about?
You know, like everybody.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I never understood that last year. Why everybody was like, "Oh, he really deserves a ring." Why him as opposed to any other coach?
It's flavor of the month.
So
that's exactly what it is.
So, devil's advocate, I can at least answer why they said it. They said it because it seemed like, and I don't know because I don't care, but it seemed like Andy Reid had never been in any kind of trouble and had been on the cusp several different times, and certain people felt like he needed the Super Bowl to validate his existence as one of the all-time greats. And so that's why they felt he, quote unquote, deserved it. Yeah, but to you guys' points, it could be the flavor of the month thing. You might start talking about, they might start saying McVay deserves one or needs one. And
he was the flavor of the month for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Before Andy Reid, he was the flavor of the month.
Exactly.
Oh, he's a bright young mind. He's an offensive guru. No, I don't care. He just got here.
Flavor of the month.
If you're supposed to win it, win it. The winner is supposed to win it, and no one else.
Yeah, but can we stop talking about last year's Super Bowl? I'm not the one that brought up Tampa Bay against the Raiders. Somebody else brought that up. So let's not do that. Okay. And let me say this because I didn't flash Dietrich's comment across the screen like an hour ago when he said we wanted those calls last year. Listen, the game is the game. I didn't like how things worked out last year for San Francisco, but I believe that San Francisco controlled its destiny and just it had a floppy fourth quarter. And my friend Trey, who was on this podcast, who was a very sore winner and sore loser, had on, like, he doesn't even care, but he had on Kansas City gear. He's so disgusting with that. Like, he's got Rams gear, Eagles gear, Kansas City gear. Luckily, she had on 49ers gear. So shout out to Britt. But whatever. By the way, Trey's not feeling well today. That's why he's not here. He let us know probably at like 11:58. So I forgot to mention it. But he's not feeling well. So
what's up, TreVon?
Get well, TreVon L. Hopson. All right, let's go ahead and go to the closeout. I don't know if Cobbs is going to come back. We didn't talk about anything else. Utah looks good. Obviously, I still have the Lakers against Philly, but Utah looks good. Looks like they'll at least make it interesting in the Western Conference Finals. The Nets are falling apart. I love it. Are they clutch, Cobbs? Are they clutch, McElroy? No, they are not clutch. No, they are not clutch. The Brooklyn Nets. So later for all of that. I'll take Golden State over the Nets any day. Prayers to Trey from Jimmy. No, I won't really take the Golden State Warriors over the Nets. Not right now. Okay, so don't hold me to that. So at this point of the podcast, we're going to go to the closeout. And in the closeout, we just give our parting thoughts on any topic that we want. It could be sports related or non-sports related. I will let our guest host, AC Senior, go first. But first, tell us how you feel after getting your second dose yesterday.
My arm is very sore.
Your arm is sore? Okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed myself. This, you guys, I mentioned it before. You guys are very knowledgeable. You know what you're talking about. You do your homework, and you keep me laughing.
Oh, that's okay. Well, glad we can help.
Listen, right now.
Glad we can help.
You guys are funny.
All right. Go ahead, Rod.
What's up with the interaction? You know what I mean.
Hey, man. I just want to say real quick, man. I know people of color are very distrusting when it comes to certain things, and we all have a right to be, but don't be too distrusting where you pass up an opportunity to help yourself. And what I mean by that is, don't just say, well, hey, what about the Tuskegee Airmen and all this other stuff? And that's why I'm not going to take a vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
I understand all of that, and I've had a kind of like a wait and see approach myself to see if people taking the vaccine are actually causing the numbers to go down. And it seems to be that the numbers are going down.
Mm-hmm.
That the number of COVID cases are sharply declining.
Mm-hmm.
They still haven't attributed that to the vaccine, and that's kind of yet to be said, but the numbers, we can't dispute that the numbers are going down, and that's a great thing. People want to get back to their lives and do their thing. I always wait because I'm one that, I have to think about my children and how it's going to affect them. They might not get sick, but they may have an issue with reproduction later on in years to come. I need to know those things before I allow a doctor to inject them with something. But I'm not discounting it and cutting myself off to getting the vaccine. So I'm just saying, people, pay attention to things. Do your own personal research, what works for you, and not listening to things that's on social media or because your grandmama told you 30 years ago that don't do this and don't do that. See what works for you and be as safe as you can. And let's just ride this wave out. We don't have any more football left. We still have more basketball to come. Anthony Davis is still hurt again. I don't know how many weeks in a row that has been consecutively that he's left the game or just didn't play. I'm starting to think it's load management and not just some nagging injury that keeps him out all the time, but he's hurt again. So it's the NBA is hard for me to watch. Like, players want all the money. They want to play 20 games out of 82. That's not what I grew up with. I'll never understand it. As a former athlete, you couldn't keep me from not wanting to play something. And I don't understand the mentality behind it. Let's just enjoy.
Okay. As my man Don Lemon would say, it looks like we have a little technical difficulty there in Long Beach. So we're going to move on from Rodney's stuff here. But thank you, Rodney. Thank you for sharing. Oh, you're back. Did you want to say that last sentence again?
Oh,
yeah, you broke up.
Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, just be safe.
Okay, cool. Just be safe. All right. So Elaine is sharing some things about effectiveness. 2 to 3 weeks for 70% effectiveness after second shot. Is that with both shots, Elaine, or just one or the other? I know that my dad has Pfizer. I have Moderna. Trey and Britt have Moderna. My mom has Pfizer. Just wondering. Cobb's, yeah, HBCU football coming back on the 21st. Cobbs, you want to close out?
I missed the question. I thought y'all were doing a closeout. Yeah, I missed everything, man. So, yeah, I don't know about which shot is more effective. I know that there's a Johnson & Johnson shot coming out. Is that what they're talking about? I don't know.
Oh no, we're not. No.
But I want to make sure that they.
No, Rodney's closeout was talking a little bit about the vaccine, and then Elaine weighed in, but we weren't talking about. It's time for you to close out. Go ahead and close out.
Yeah, my speed test is fine.
But we heard that clearly.
Yeah,
okay. I'll check that.
Internet tripping, man.
We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was going super fast, but I'm just saying, as far as the back concern, is that what the question was?
No, close out.
That was close out.
Just close it out, telling people not to close off being closed, even accept.
Oh yeah, like everything else, like AC always says, research, do your background so you feel comfortable with your decision making. We'll do the same thing. And as far as closing out, let's not lose perspective when we do these sports talks and GOAT talks and who's great and who's this, who's that. Let's not forget that we're people. We all trying to make our way in this world. We all trying to be good parents. We all trying to be good brothers, and all that stuff, man. Let's stay in perspective of the big picture, man. Most of this stuff is entertainment, so don't lose your cool. Don't get out of character debating about who's better at what. Be comfortable in what you believe and what you've seen, and be okay with your takes. And don't forget that it's just entertainment. Most of the time, it's just sports. It's not life-changing. Nobody cares if you think so-and-so is better than so-and-so. Have fun with it. Enjoy life. Don't be stressed out about stuff that you have no control over. I like Damian Lillard. That's my favorite player in the NBA. He's never going to win championship. So what? Who cares? It's just like Rodney and I give AD a hard time. So what? Who cares? But he is hurt again, right? So we're right. So what? Have a good time with it. Have a good, have a laugh. Enjoy life. Don't be so bent out of shape you can't enjoy someone's trolling. And know when someone's trolling you. It's most of the time people are just bored, man.
Yeah.
If you look at Instagram, people doing TikTok. People just need to go outside, man, and enjoy the sunlight. That's why I'm inside the garage looking at the sun, looking at the sky. God is good, man. We got air in our lungs, food to eat, roofs over our heads, and I got pretty good kids. They in there doing their work. That's why my internet's tripping. My son's on the line playing. He's gaming. So see the bright side, y'all. Peace and blessings. AC Sports Live Tuesday nights. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, 1585 Friday nights. Jimmy Mack and myself come through, having some fun. Peace out.
Yeah, 1585. We will be talking about bad coaching on Friday. Bad
coaching.
We're just gonna talk about coaching.
Bad coaching.
Get your legal hustle sweatshirt. I got me another one.
Get your legal hustle, baby.
This is my Hoka shoes.
You can get that at thelegalhustle.com. THElegalhustle.com. Don't forget Stephen Curry is clutch. And
I want to ask AC Senior, what is clutch?
The go-to guy.
The go-to guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then AC Carter's right.
So I want to share this. This is graphic. This is Aaliyah Taylor. This is Chad Wheeler's ex-girlfriend.
Wow.
And this is one picture.
They're still together.
Following, well, according to her, they're not, and she wants to see him burn. So I have to take her word for it, and I'm so happy that she showed up in court and showed that she would not be deterred or defeated by him or his actions. She's speaking out against him, speaking out against his disgusting behavior, and she wants him to go to prison. She wants him to pay. And so my prayers go to her and everyone like her. And I wish her the best and I wish him the worst. And yeah, so that's not my closeout, but I just wanted to just give some kind of tribute to Aaliyah Taylor, because this is not the half of it. This is the picture, but she got choked out twice.
Yeah.
And
Man, we need to go. We us four need to go down there and get him, man. We need to go down there and put some hands on him, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're telling me that she changed her thought pattern and actually
press charges.
Went to court and pressed charges. That's new to me.
Yeah.
Because initially she was like, "Oh, he's just having mental issues and he's a good person." I'm like, "Nah."
Well, luckily I mean I heard about that, but I didn't read any of that, so I'm happy that I didn't see that, because that would have definitely disgusted me. Before I close out, Dietrich's got a question.
That's what I was grinning about. That line right there. I'm gonna have to pull it off in the clutch.
I'm ready for.
I'm so clutch.
Hey,
I'm gonna go grab some crab legs. I'm gonna go grab everything she loved to eat. Clutch.
Yeah, I have to pull it off in the clutch myself. I have absolutely nothing.
Give me an apron and be clutch.
Brianna's not the biggest fan of Valentine's Day, but I know what she needs on Valentine's Day.
That's what you think. You better do something.
Oh no, like I said, I know how to move. I've been in this.
You ain't gotta do nothing, baby. This nigga, you do nothing.
Now, how does it work for the ladies? Is Elaine still on? I want to know from her side. Is she clutch? Is she clutch, or does she have to go and pull it off?
I'm gonna get it.
Normally, the ladies they shop in advance, and we're the ones that's rushing out like Martin night before, trying to get a footstool, passing it off as something romantic.
I've been married 22 years. I ain't got a gift yet.
You saying you haven't received a gift?
Well, you probably have, except it's something that you got to put together. It's going to be work for you.
Shout out to Joy Washington Cobb.
Well, I got something that we can't talk about on this show. It's PG.
Okay. All right. So you guys didn't let me close out. We talked enough about officiating where I'm closing out. Hey, listen, first of all, thank you so much, listeners and viewers, for coming in. Matt checked in on YouTube, and then I forgot the other person's name who checked in on Twitch. I don't think we had anybody come in on Periscope, but nobody, I don't know, nobody commented.
It's a Twitter.
We had someone from all platforms except for Twitter/Periscope. And so we thank you, and we thank you to anyone who's listening back on any of the DSPs, or watching the replay on YouTube, or watching the replay on Facebook. You know, we appreciate you. We're 48 episodes in. We're about 4 episodes away from the 1 year anniversary. We have Scoop Jackson next week. Hopefully Trey comes back. Thank you to Anthony Cobbs for coming on so often. Thank you to my dad for coming on. Jimmy always staying engaged. We appreciate that. What's up, Byron Gamble? We appreciate you. We appreciate you all. And then for me, you know, these guys talked about the vaccine. Listen, I was talking to Brianna about this last night. I was listening to a podcast that Jim Jones was on. The new Jim Jones, not the Colt guy that Rodney went to high school with. So, and Jim Jones was saying, "Nah, man, I'm not gonna get I'm not gonna get vaccinated. I'm not gonna get vaccinated. You know, we'll make it through. But I'm not telling nobody else not to get it." So for me, it's almost like people who feel one way or another feel like they need to then say, "But I'm not telling you what to do." So what I say is, yeah, I'm doing it, but I'm not. Well, all I'm saying is, do your research. I respect people on either side of it, but please just be informed. You know, just be informed, get the information, make your decision accordingly, and then whatever decision you do make, I wish you the best of luck with it. I don't, however, think this thing is just going away. So that's my take on it. Wear your mask. Sometimes you might have to wear 2 masks, but just be careful And somebody asked me yesterday what my biggest pet peeve was, and I said it was people talking over people. And then I thought about the fact that I have a weekly podcast where I have to play referee to people talking over people, and I kind of like it. So I guess my biggest pet peeve is people standing within 6 feet of me that I don't know. So why don't you maintain that social distancing and keep your social distance? Get out of my pocket, get off my back, and give me some space. And, breathe in your own bubble, buddy. All right. Thank y'all for checking in. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. We out.
Out.
Peace.
Peace. All right. That was